Darrell, I got a two-parter here. First, thanks for doing this. What what is the I guess the comfort level knowing you have so much of your offense and particularly key pieces at key spots coming back this year with the shortened off season?
Well, I think I'd answer it first. I mean, there's a little bit of comfort just with the knowledge that maybe that they have, but I'm really into how we executed on the field, and so I'm excited to get to this next level. I think that's really important for us. So we can't get complacent or rest on our laurels in terms of we've got this down. We know this stuff. Every year's a new year. We have new players in new spots. We have little wrinkles that we want to make sure that we're adding. So we need to get on the field. We need to start practicing stuff that we've been talking about for quite a while.
And you do have two rookies or three rookies really at key spots competing for roles at both guard and running back. Just curious, I'm sure it's different every position. What is the biggest thing at those two positions, running back and offensive line, for a rookie to, I guess, catch up and transition their game from the college level to the pro level?
Yeah, I mean, everything's really different for those guys. All our rookies coming in, I mean, definitely they're going to be behind the eight ball a little bit. The Zoom meetings, I think, have helped. I mean, we've had more meeting time than we've ever had. So in terms of the information, I think they're going to be able to handle some of that. But still, you have to have the applied science. You got to get out there on the grass and be able to see them react and read. And there's going to be guys, in offensive line. You've always heard me talk about it. The combinations and how your guy next to you is coming off a combination, how they communicate, how they pass things off. So every position has just little nuance to it that really we need to see those guys get on the field and how fast they can pick up on that kind of thing.
Kyle?
Morning, Darrell. Thanks for your time.
Yep.
Just to piggyback off Justin's question, I did want to ask about Deandre Swift. Matt talked a little bit about him yesterday. I know it's super early. You haven't got these guys on the field yet, but what are your early impressions of this guy, just having him around the building and being in meetings with him? And going forward, I know that the preseason games and the joint practices are nice barometers to judge a running back by. How do you go about, just evaluating his kind of progress without having those opportunities to, see him in a contact situation?
Yeah, I think obviously everybody's in the same situation across the league. I mean, we're not going to have preseason games. It's the way it is. So, we're going to have to find, new ways to gain that information. As far as Deandre is going, I think he's done a really nice job in the meetings, in the Zoom meetings. There's different settings in terms of where there's been just the rookies, but now we've obviously had the vets in there as well. I think he's been quiet. He's trying to, gain as much information as he can, kind of find his place with what he needs to do. But I think he's picked up the information pretty well, and I'm excited to get him out on the grass and see exactly what he's got. See, how he can take this information from the meeting rooms and put it on the field, and how well that he can make the adjustments, and see the things that he needs to see to play at a high level for us. And that remains to be seen. Unfortunately, since we haven't been out there on the grass very much, I think a lot of the questions that's going to be the answer. We have to wait and see. Whether it's the new offensive linemen, and really everybody across the board, how they're going to fit into our offense, how I'm going to be able to use them. And Deandre is no different than that.
Go Dave next.
Morning, Darrell. Hope you're doing well. Two quick things for you too. First, just the guys that have missed time right now that have been on the COVID list, are they missing anything, practically with the meetings, or are they still able to attend the meetings?
They were able to attend all the meetings. They've been the majority of it's been virtual. And so the guys that are not in the building, as far as the football stuff, they've been able to get through Zoom.
Okay. And then second, and this is more about the pandemic, I guess, than football, but we saw the Mid-American Conference today cancel the football season, and other, schools have eliminated non-revenue sports. Just as the parent of softball players, how much do you worry about, what impact this whole pandemic will have, whether it's, on the health of your daughters, or future opportunities they may have in the sports, or whatever, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's I remember, when this first pandemic happened, it was right during the softball season. I think they had played 13, 14 games, somewhere in there. And then it was just boom, it was canceled. And, you would think that after a whole year, basically, that by the time they're playing again, that there wouldn't be any question about it. But it's still in question. And, I I think it's hard for a lot of those, those college kids that have worked their whole life, and this was their dream to get those scholarship opportunities. And some of them are losing those opportunities. So those are tough. I mean, they put a lot of work in. When I was home during the pandemic and between meetings, I was out there throwing, and we were playing catch and feeding a bunch of batting practice to her. So she's working really hard. Just in my case, my daughter, and but there's still that question. They don't know, they'd love to have answers, and they all are just chomping at the bit to be able to play, just like we are. But we're kind of in that case too. It's really a day by day, week by week thing. We have no idea what's going to happen past that.
Just to be clear, do you have one daughter that's playing in college right now, or two?
Yeah,
or
I have one.
Okay. Thank you.
Go Mike Rothstein.
Hey, Darrell. Thanks for doing this. I have one serious question, then kind of one not serious question. The not serious one first. Is this the first time really in your professional career you've kind of grown a beard? Because when you look back at all your pictures, you don't have one. Is there any significance behind it all, or just kind of pandemic?
This was just a quarantine beard. I was like, okay, I'm going to be lazy. I've actually never had a beard in my life. So not just in football season, but never, ever. I kind of just let it go, see what would happen. And, then my wife ends up liking it. And I got a couple of comments like I look younger. So I don't know, maybe, if I'm turning back the clock and it's helping me, then, maybe I need to keep it. But I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it the whole time, but we're still kind of in that bubble kind of deal. So I'm just going with it right now.
And more football wise, where in your offense, where do you think Kenny can take maybe another step this season? Where do you look for that from him?
Yeah,
and how you maybe use him or.
Yeah, he had a really nice year last year for us, and we hope that he continues to have many more like that. There's specific things that we're talking to him that he can take his game to the next level, but really you want him to be thought of in those upper echelon guys with the Hopkins and Thomas and those type of players where he really is dictating to the defense like how they have to cover it. Sometimes that's where that guy gets double covered. He's worried about all the time, and you help your teammates. But when you're in that go-to opportunity, and that's the guy. It's like everybody knows Kenny Galladay is getting the ball, and everybody knows that he's going to still make the play. And that's really where we're trying to get him to be that dominant level player.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, we'll go Chris Burke for last question.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Darrell, for the time. Back at the draft, a few GMs, including Bob, said that there might be some things that they took from this offseason that they might be able to carry over that kind of worked better than they expected. And, just so you're not in the building 120 hours a week and all those sorts of things. Was there anything that has sort of surprised you with how effective it's been over the last few months, or are you just kind of itching to get back to normal here?
Well, probably two parts of that. I'm really itching to get back. I mean, I think it would be great for just everybody, the country, the mindset to be able to get back to a little bit of normalcy. And I think football on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays is a huge part of that. But I just hope it's something, it's always from my perspective. I only have two things that I do. I love my family and I love football. And when I'm not doing football, I'm doing family. And I think it's really important for us to learn from this pandemic that we've had. And, there's really not a whole lot that we can do season wise. I mean, we're going to grind it out, but I think in the off season, it might have opened some people's eyes, like how effective that we can be, and maybe some adjustments that, we don't have to be in here in the office every single day. But again, that's the guys above me that make those decisions. But, we have a great example, and, thought we had a successful draft. We were able to communicate clearly. We were able to get the information that we needed. We were still able to have a great offseason in terms of, studying and getting better as an offense, and, the changes that we're going to make offensively, defensively, those type of things. So we know that it can be effective, and, we just have to keep that in our minds when the season's over and we go into that, the final parts of the beginning of the offseason next year to really look back, make smart decisions, and say, there is more family time in here that we can spend, and, we'll have to see if that happens.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bev. Guys, go ahead and stay on the line, and we'll have Cory on here shortly.
Appreciate it.
Darrell.
Thanks, Darrell.
We'll go Tim, first question.
Hey, Cory, thanks for taking the time. Good to see you again.
Tim?
Can you just speak to, obviously you guys aren't full go on the field yet, but just the working relationship between you and Matt and how that's evolved, kind of creating a defense that kind of has both your inputs over the last 6 months or so?
Yeah, it's been smooth. Obviously the relationship there between us obviously helps a little bit, but grinding through that, going all the way back to when I got hired and all the way through the spring, virtual or now that we're back in the building, it's been good. And I think it's safe to say that we both feel good on where we're headed. We ain't there yet, but we're moving in the right direction. It's been very positive.
And just to follow, do you like where the defense is headed just from a scheme philosophy standpoint between the two of you?
Absolutely. Yes. There hasn't been any questions on where that's going from him to me. It's been very clear, and him asking me, we're on the same page. And like I said, we haven't even practiced yet, much less had a meeting with the players in it, albeit we've been doing all that virtually through the off season. So we're on the right track, feel really good where we are going into training camp when we actually start and practice. Got a bunch of meetings coming up here before that happens, but yeah, there's no same page, right direction, arrow up.
Okay, we'll go Kyle. Next question.
Yeah, morning, Cory. Thanks for your time. I was wondering if you could speak on, excuse me, the challenge of Jeff Okuda and what awaits him. I know it's early; you haven't seen him on the field yet, but your early impressions of the guy. And then him being able to transition at a pretty difficult position as a rookie, and obviously the expectations that he has on him to perform.
Yeah, I think I would agree with all that as far as the challenge goes for that position. I don't care if you're a rookie or you're a 6-year vet. Stand out there and line up on Sundays against any team. I don't care what team it is. That's a challenge. We all know what that looks like out there. I would say right now, as I talked about him in the spring, when I was talking about him virtually, I think the most important thing to understand is we have not played, you said it, we have not played a snap yet. We haven't even practiced a snap yet. So his challenge right now is just being out there on the first day, and don't care where we drafted him, where he came from. That position comes with challenges. And I think we're all excited, not just for him, but for everybody else that's new, guys that have been here, once we get on the field. And then we'll start with the first one and we'll go from there. And obviously the goal is for every guy in this roster to get better every single day, and we'll just start from there. So if that answers it.
Mike Rothstein.
Hey, Cory, how are you?
Hey.
You faced Matthew Stafford as a secondary coach last year. You prepared for him. I'm just curious, when you're prepping for a guy like Stafford, what makes him different or maybe more difficult potentially to prepare for than other quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, he's a really good player, can throw it all over the field. He's a really good player. I would just say that. I'm coaching on the defensive side, and I know you're talking about me coaching him again in the past, but I'm just excited to be around the guy and be on the same team as him, and leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get more of an idea of what that's like when you're as somebody who's done it before. That's all.
It's easy. It's not easy. I could go. This could be a 35-minute conversation.
Right.
But I'm happy that I'm on the same team as him. He's gotten the best of me the last few times we played him. So I'm happy to be here with him now.
And just with your defensive line, you already have two guys. One guy's on NFI. One guy is. How do you handle that when your numbers maybe aren't? You're not on the field yet, but when your numbers are kind of maybe a little bit low already up front.
As a coaching staff, coming from Matt and then going to me and to the position coaches, we just got to manage it. There's nothing you can do about it. Numbers are what they are, and it's our job as coaches to manage it and move guys around so that we don't overwork somebody else. So it's not easy, but everybody's got some kind of situation, whatever position group it's at. So that's on us to make sure that we do it right and move guys around so that no one's getting worn out. And then we just day to day with those guys, whenever they're back, they're back. Players know that. And I would say really it's on the coaches to make sure we don't put somebody in a bad spot.
Appreciate it, Cory. Thanks.
Yep, you got it.
Go, Justin.
Morning, Cory.
Justin, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. When looking at your linebacking group, you got a lot of versatility there. Guys like Jared, Christian, Jamie have all played on the line of scrimmage and off the ball. Jelani did some of that in training camp, although he was more off the ball once the season got rolling. But when you have that kind of flexibility across the second level, how much creativity, I guess, does that allow you to have as a defensive coordinator when you're working on presenting multiple looks to opposing offenses?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of posed that in the question, but you kind of answered it at the same time. It's a bonus to have all those guys, the entire group. And then, I mean, you described it. You got a bunch of versatility. That's kind of that's what we're based on in this defense. You know that. So the more guys you can have that understand it, have played in it already, even with some of the new guys that we brought in, it's a bonus. I look forward to getting into this situation once we're out there practicing and moving those pieces around. So it's a good spot to be in.
We'll go last question, Dave.
Morning, Cory. Good to see you again.
Hey, Dave.
Two things for you. First of all, and I apologize, I was not on your Zoom in the spring. So if you answer this, I apologize.
You missed much.
Yeah. Has it been determined yet? Will you be calling plays this fall on defense?
We are trying to get through the first day of training camp here first. I wouldn't change my answer from Mobile to June to now. We're going to figure it out. And I'll say this. We don't play a game until the second week in September. And, this will be weird, but you guys, the way that we are right now, we are day to day, man. I'm focused right now and trying to get through tomorrow because I don't know if you know, tomorrow will be the first time I have the defense, all the players in the meeting room. This will be the first time since I got hired in January. So the only thing I care about right now is that meeting tomorrow morning. That's it.
That's got to be a weird dynamic then, right? I mean, being so long, like you excited? What sort of, what do you go through before that meeting and having to wait so long for it too?
Yeah, to say excited would be an understatement, obviously, but the respect that I have for virtual meeting right now and the way that whole spring went, I know I talked about this a lot in June, but, if you're having a conversation with somebody and you have the ability to look them in the eyes and have a conversation like we are right now, I don't care if you're in person or not, but this classroom or this media situation that we're in right now and doing that all spring, I've got a great feel for all those guys. And I think they all have a great feel for me, whether we were in the meeting room or virtual. However, there obviously is a different feel when you can do it after 6 months and then now you're physically in the same room. There is a difference. We know that. And yeah, I can't wait. And I think they would say the same. I can't answer that. But
I'm sorry about that. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was Doug Peterson. Obviously, you were close with him, spent a couple years with him. Hit the news the other day that he caught the virus. Just how did that strike you, on a personal level, I guess?
Yeah, checked on him. He's good. Yeah. Anybody, player, coach that family member. Your first thought is obviously for the safety of him and for his family, his wife Jeannie, and the kids. And he assured us that he's good, so I'm good.
Got time for one more, guys, if anyone's got one. Go ahead, Justin.
When we asked guys about you kind of through the course of the offseason, players, a lot of them said that you really made a concerted effort to show that you cared for them and were interested in them as people. How do you go about doing that, and why is it really important to establish that relationship early as a coach?
I'm not sure I can go through how to do that. I would say we'd have to spend some time together, and then you'd have to answer that. In this profession, obviously we're in it. Everybody's in it for different reasons. I'm in it for one reason, and that's relationships. That's it. And the players know this, and I'll leave this short, but my number one goal is for that they, at the end of the day, win, lose, whatever, that they know I care about them. That's That's my goal as a coach, coordinator, position coach, quality control, whatever it is. That's my core philosophy. And we obviously got to talk ball, and we're going to do all that stuff. I mean, I can flip the switch now too. But at the end of the day, they know that I got their back, and that's the most important thing for me. So.
All right. Thanks, Cory. We'll bring on Brayden next here, guys. Hang on.
Thank you, Cory.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cory.
Yep.
Again, thanks for taking the time.
No problem.
Hey, I'm just curious. I know you haven't seen the guys out on the field yet, but just your expectation for that competition at punter, and what do you want to see from both those guys?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Really excited about both of those guys. We're going to have competition across the board at every position, not just punter. I know that's the big one. But if you ask the guys, that's kind of the number one thing we've been talking about since day one is competition. I think that makes everybody better. With those two guys, they're both very talented. I think they both have high ceilings. It's just a matter of, going out and doing it. Neither of them have done it in a game. And with no preseason, that's definitely going to be a little different. But we're going to find ways to make it hyper competitive in practice and put them under pressure situations. And, we'll see who rises to the top. But I'm really, really excited for both of those guys.
Go, Rothstein.
Hey, Brayden, how are you?
Great, Mike. How are you, man?
I'm good. The MAC postponed or canceled seems like it's still up in the air. Football today. As a former MAC player, what was your reaction when you heard that this morning? And have you reached out to anybody at Miami of Ohio already?
Yeah, gosh, it's probably literally 10 minutes since I seen that news. We were in a meeting, broke the meeting, happened to see that before I came down here. It's devastating. My time at Miami to this day is some of the best years of my life. Lifelong relationships and friendships, and all that started with the football program. So I'm really hurt for those guys. I have friends who coach in the MAC. Got to reach out to them. Obviously disappointed for them. So it's unfortunate. There's obviously been a lot of unfortunate circumstances over the last several months. And, hopefully the people that were entrusted to make these decisions, have a good feel for what's best and are making the right decisions. But, even if it's the right decision, it's still really disappointing, especially for the kids, in those programs right now that are never going to get that time back. So hopefully they work something out for the spring or figure something out because, yeah, really, really disappointing. Just kind of sad for the people involved right now.
And your dad being at Ohio State, what have conversations been like with him? Because they've had to, postpone practices, put stops on it. What have those conversations been like?
Long, but he's been a really valuable resource for me, like he always is, always has been. Kind of the timing of things where they kind of got started first and then took a break, and then we kind of got started. We've really been able to bounce things off of each other. He's been able to kind of just give me a heads up on what to expect, what doesn't work, what's the best mask to wear at practice. I mean, really, the amount of things that you don't really think about until you talk to somebody else about it are infinite. So kind of blessed, I guess, in that way to have somebody close that I can trust to talk to. I think he's like everybody else, trying to work his way through it and frustrated that we can't just go play ball and do things the way that we're used to doing. But, knowing him, he'll adjust, he'll be fine. I know that they're really hoping they can play because I think they feel pretty good about the team they got this year. So we're all hoping it works out, and I think they're doing the best they can given the circumstances.
Out of curiosity, what mask did he tell you to buy?
I guess for practice, he says the best is just the gaiters. Up and down is real easy. You don't have to worry about the ears. So we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, man.
Ben Raven.
Hey, Brayden. Good morning. Thank you for the time.
How's it going, Ben?
Not too bad. I think last time we talked, you might be able to answer this question a little better this time. Just like how important is it having guys like Don Mulback, Matt Prater, vets like that in a room as a new coach and kind of stranded on a virtual island here these last couple of months? Just like, what are the conversations and how important those guys have been to the operation?
Those guys are awesome. Both of them are outstanding pros, and they're awesome guys too. So really just enjoyed. We've obviously spent a ton of time together virtually, getting to know each other. Those relationships are going to be very important. Having those guys here, being new in the building for one, and just kind of being able to get a feel for how things go. They've been invaluable in that way. And I think, the less time we've had to be on the field, it's comforting to know that, whatever practice time we get, whenever we get to week one, those guys will be ready to go when called upon. So definitely been very, very grateful to have both of those guys, and looking forward to seeing them both get out there.
Kyle.
Brayden, thanks for your time, man. I'm just curious, what do you like about having an Australian rules punter, in camp and potentially in season? What's the upside there? What do you like about having that kind of guy around?
Yeah, that's not really on the list of things that I'm trying to find. But Aaron was an interesting guy coming out. Didn't know a whole lot about him as an early out junior. Obviously, he's an older guy. So met him at the combine. Probably was first just drawn to his demeanor. The way that he's wired is something that kind of really vibes with me. The fact that he's Australian, the biggest bonus really from that is that he's played professional sports. So I know he's ready for the moment when it comes. And just as a general thing with the Aussie guys, they have the ability just kind of naturally, the way that they come up, playing that sport, to do all kind of different kicks. It's not necessarily just the typical spiral punts or the typical, end over end, what we call in the plus 50. They can do all kinds of things. And a lot of the guys here in the U.S. are starting to learn those things at a younger age. So Jack's got a lot of tricks in his bag too, but just in general, the Aussie guys can be, they have a lot of weapons that you can do different things and try to keep guys on their toes.
All right, we'll go Dave, then Chris.
Morning, Brayden. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's settling in to Metro Detroit here. Nice. Yeah, you too. So we were just talking about the punting jab. How about the long snapper battle? It's another one that people will be watching. Just with Wordle, can you just go back to what you liked about him from January, A, and then B? Typically guys, a young guy, both him and Aaron for that matter, would have all spring to impress you as well. It's sort of condensed here. I don't know. Is it going to be tougher to get an actual gauge on what they can do given the limited amount of time you'll have them on the field?
Sure. So your first question was on Steve. It was really, retrospectively, it's been even probably a bigger deal that we had that week together. Had a chance to get to know him there and probably would say similarly to Aaron, was just drawn to his demeanor, the way he goes about his business, the way he handles himself. Had a chance to see him snap up close in person. All that stuff was great. He's been great all spring, and I'm excited to have him here and get him going with the rest of the guys. In terms of those guys not having a spring, I think it's like any rookie at any position. They miss time. There's no way around it. We've done everything we can to try to give them things to work on and try to stay on top of them. But there's really no replacement for being on the football field with other NFL football players, right? So, we're going to have to make up for lost time as we go, and we're going to make it tough on them here in practice. But I'm confident in both of those guys as players and as guys that they'll be up for the challenge and they'll be ready to go.
And what you've seen from long snappers, I think people look at the snapping, but maybe the blocking and some of that is more or just as important for you as well. How difficult is that for a young guy to pick up?
I think that's really snapping the football is not that different, right, from college to the NFL. But the big adjustment for those guys is always the protection because it's just the different rules, the different looks that they get. We're going to play Chicago week 1, and they got some big, powerful guys that they're going to line up across from whoever our snapper is. And if, that happens to be Steve, he hasn't seen that before. You don't get that a lot in college. So that's definitely where he's got to make up the most ground. So we've been working on it, been giving him things to do, and just kind of trying to help him with it over the video. And we're going to continue that now in person. So, he'll be ready.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, last question.
Hey, thanks for the time. Kind of a broad one here, I guess, but obviously it's a condensed schedule here. You're gonna have 2-3 weeks in pads before you have to make some big roster decisions. And a lot of those roster decisions come down to who can contribute on special teams. So just kind of wondering if you could explain a little bit about what you'll be looking for from those guys, once you get the pads on to try and help make those decisions.
Sure. It's not just me. We got to do it collectively as a staff. So you got to find the right combination of guys who can help on offense or defense and on special teams. So we're fortunate with Cory and Bev and obviously Coach Patricia that stuff's all really seamless for us. That goes really, easily. As far as what we're looking for, obviously we want, good football players and athletic football players. But kind of what I've communicated to the guys is that the two things for me that are really non-starters is we got to have toughness and competitiveness. So that's going to be kind of at the foundation of everything that we do. And if you don't have those two things, it's going to be hard pressed for you, no matter how fast you run. We're going to play fast, play physical, all those things as well. Good athletes, but really it's starting with guys who are ready to go compete, who aren't going to back down, play with confidence. That's kind of what I want these guys to be about collectively.
Have you been able to do any of that evaluation in the past 3-4 months, or do you really have to see those guys out there?
I mean, it's hard, right? We're not out there going against one another, but I think as a coach, part of our job and our responsibility is being able to evaluate. And for me personally, I think you can get a lot of evaluation done by talking to guys. And the thing here about this place that gives me such a peace of mind is there's a lot of really good players and competitive guys. I mean, we got a deep group. And I think that kind of forces them all to realize here early on that they got to step up. And if they don't, then they're not going to be here because we're too deep. There's too much talent for anybody to kind of just try to skate by and think that that's going to work out for them. Everybody's got to raise their level. And I think the more competition we have, the better everybody's going to be. They'll all make each other better. And then collectively, I think that helps rise the level of the group.
All right. Thanks, Brayden. Thank you guys for your time this morning.
Hey, real quick, Eamon, I just wanted to make sure that I said just how grateful I am to everybody here in the organization that has really, busted their butt all summer to make this place safe for us and to get things done so that we can get to football. Gina, Kevin Anderson, Tim O'Neill, our equipment guy, Dave Granito, Mike Disner, a lot of people here in the building that had to do a lot of things that they never really signed up for, weren't part of their job description. While quite frankly, I spent a lot of the summer on a boat. So just really appreciative of those people. I don't think we would be able to get any of this done without them. So it's important to me that just kind of acknowledge all the hard work that they've put into this to make it safe for all of us here. So didn't want to leave that out.
Thank you, Brayden.